Hi, my name is Suchitra Bapat. I am part of the Math Digital team at Pratham, and today I will be presenting a part of an app that has been developed within Pratham's digital program. I will be concentrating on the math section, specifically the topic of multiplication. But before I begin, I would like to tell you a little bit about Pratham's digital initiative. The ASAR survey of 2017 revealed that despite having completed years of schooling, young people in India have difficulty applying their foundation skills in work and real world situations. Pratham's digital program aims to create an open learning environment to prepare children and youth for school, work, and life. Through this digital initiative, Pratham aims to contextualize learning for school going children and youth on digital infrastructure. But the digital infrastructure is very ably supported by a strong social structure of parents, youth, and the community. Here's a quick glance at the reach that Pratham's digital initiative has managed to garner over the past few short years. Pratham Digital or Pradigi, as it is called, currently has 5 products on field. Today, we are going to talk about the Pradigi for School app, more specifically, the math section of this app. This app was launched in Hindi on Android in late 2019 with the aim of furthering learning for school-going children from grade 1 onwards. However, since the onset of the pandemic, its significance has grown multifold. With schools having been shut in India for over a year now, the learning of a large number of children, especially in rural and small town India, has been thrown completely out of whack. We had the foundations of an educational app ready, and the app has only grown in capability and content over the last year. As of recent times, it has 5,000 installs via Play Store and over 60,000 learners via other Pratham digital programs. The app currently caters to 4 subjects. Each subject has levels which are loosely based on school grades. However, children progress through these levels at their own pace, independent of what grade they are or were at school. The math section currently has 4 levels with work on level 5 in progress. Before we delve into the topic of multiplication, let us briefly take a look at how the content is organized within math. The app currently comprises 2 top-level sections, arithmetic and geometry, and each of these is further divided into 4 subsections: vocabulary, explanation, application, and watch and try. So each topic that is addressed will have content divided amongst these 4 sections. Let's just take a quick look at each of these sections to understand what each actually contains. Vocabulary generally comprises definitions or terms that have been described in short with the help of one example, such as what an integer is. It may also consist of things that need to be learned, like the multiplication tables, once the concept has been understood. The explanation section mainly contains videos that explain concepts or methods of solving problems. The application section contains games or exercises that children can play or solve to further their understanding on a particular concept and to practice it. The watch and try section has demonstration videos of non-digital activities related to a topic. Children can watch these videos and perform the activities described in them as individuals or in groups and have fun while practicing the same concept. Amongst the topics covered in the app, we decided to focus on multiplication for a couple of reasons. One, that multiplication is an elementary skill but yet a very essential one. And the second one being that multiplication is somewhere midway on the difficulty scale. Neither is it as low as addition, but it is definitely lower than something like fractions. Let's begin with the vocabulary of multiplication, that is the vocabulary section, and see what parts of multiplication fall in this realm. Since vocabulary deals with definitions or things that you need to learn, this section mainly deals with tables and ways to learn and practice them. The three main resources are a multiplication chart, a game themed on penguins for learning dodging tables, and a special section dedicated to multiplying numbers with zeros in them that makes them larger but easy to solve even then. Let us begin with the multiplication chart. The multiplication or a guna chart is a very simple tool for children to learn their multiplication tables. You will see that it comprises a grid of numbers with numbers 1 to 10 in the first column and 1 to 10 in the top row. You can find out the table of any number by looking at the row or column under that number. 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, 2 threes are 6, and so on, all the way up to 2 tens, which is 20. You can also do random multiplications. For example, you could do 6 multiplied by 5, and the answer appears highlighted in the grid, that is 30. Similarly, 3 into 8 is 24. It also helps you how to create your own grid and to find out answers of random multiplications by using the grid. You will see that this is not only a useful tool, but it's a fun and engaging activity for children who are just starting off learning their multiplication tables. Let us now go on to the penguin game that helps children practice their multiplication tables, but with a time limit. You will see that the game is attractive with a snowy landscape and icy water. The game begins by every player having to decide what level they are going to play at. Level 1 would probably test your tables up to 10 and level 2 would go on up to 20. Once you pick your level, you are now faced with a question. In this case, it is 7 into 3 and 4 different answer options. The penguin needs to jump on the ice block, which has the correct option, to move forward. Let's see how this game goes. 7 into 3 is 21, and so the penguin jumps to number 21 once the kids select 21. Next question appears. Penguin jumps to the right answer. 5 sixes are 30. 4 sixes are he chose 26 and fell into the water. He now needs to answer the question again. This process continues until the student or the child has managed to solve about 10 questions. Once he has managed to solve that amount of questions, he then reaches the end and wins the game. You will see that there was a time limit and he had to finish solving those 10 questions in the 1 minute time limit. So this is a fun game to quickly practice tables and see how quick and accurate you can be. Let's move on to our next vocabulary resource. As the name suggests, it translates into easy questions on multiplication. This is because this resource focuses on multiplication-based questions, but with a small addition. Let's take a look. You will see that every question that pops up initially is a simple multiplication question. So 3 into 2 is just 6, and 4 into 4, the user needs to just press 16. However, the next level of questions has questions with zeros in them. So you will see that the zero in every question is highlighted, which encourages the kids to first do the basic multiplication, that is 5 into 6 is 30, and then add the number of highlighted zeros. Similarly, 5 into 2 is 10 and add the red 0. So the children are encouraged to count the number of zeros in the question, omit them, solve the multiplication table without the zeros, and simply add the zeros at the end. So 600 into 2 is actually 6 into 2, which is 12, with 2 additional zeros. Similarly, 400 into 4 is 16 with 2 additional zeros. The game goes on to add zeros in various questions and even multiply very large numbers that have zeros in them. You will see that this gives children the confidence that just by knowing their simple multiplication tables, they can even perform much higher multiplication with much higher numbers. That is the end of our vocabulary section. We now move on to the explanation section. The explanation section of multiplication comprises videos that talk about concepts or methods of solving problems. This section of multiplication contains 3 videos that explain the concept of multiplication, that is, what happens when you take a certain quantity, a certain number of times, as well as how to solve problems on multiplication. Let's have a look. The first explanation video begins with a very simple question, that is, just simply 2 multiplied by 3. However, it uses a previously introduced concept of units, tens and hundreds, which the kids did learn while doing place value, to showcase how multiplication is done. It simply considers number 2 as 2 units and shows those 2 units in the form of 2 sticks. It then says what happens or what does the number of sticks become if you take these 2 units 3 times and you get the answer 6. Without going on to other tables, it directly moves on to 20 into 3, which is illustrated in a similar way by using 2 tens instead of 2 units, and 200 into 3, which is shown by using 2 hundreds instead of units. It also goes to point out to children the effect of adding a zero in the question. Children see that they can easily solve problems which contain zeros by counting the number of zeros on the left hand side or in the question and adding the same number of zeros on the right hand side in the answer. It is these kind of patterns that help children solve bigger problems and give them the confidence that they can do. Next question that is tackled is slightly larger and helps children to do larger multiplications. It continues to stick to the tradition of using notation of units and tens to illustrate the question. 22 into 3 is the question. 22 is first represented as with tens and units. So 22 is 2 tens, which is shown by 2 bundles, and 2 sticks, which is 2 units. We begin by saying what is 2 units taken 3 times, which gives us a total of 6 units, and then what is 2 tens taken 3 times, which then gives us a total of 6 tens. So we know then that 2 tens into 3 units is 6 tens and 6 units, which is 66. You will appreciate that there is no number notation here used yet. We then move on to the number notation, which showing 22 as 2 tens and 2 units multiplied by 3. We first, as we did in the illustrated example, multiply the units, which gives us 6. We then multiply 2 tens or 20 into 3, which gives us 60. And that's how we get the same answer of 66. You will see that first by showing children a visual explanation and then moving on to the numerical explanation helps them understand and lose their fear of numbers that they may have. Now that we have ended our explanation section, let us go on to understand how the children can apply and practice what they have learned in the explanation and vocabulary sections. This happens in the application section or the usage section of the app. For multiplication, you will see that there are 2 resources to practice what has been learned. The first focuses on numerical problems and the second focuses on word problems, that is, comprehending the question and applying calculation to get the answer. Let us begin with a resource that helps children solve numerical questions on multiplication. Once you begin, you are faced with a question like 46 into 38. The children have to fill in the question as well. It is not filled in for them. It begins by first telling you the two numbers you need to multiply. So it is guiding you to do this in a step-by-step manner. You put in 6 eighths are 46 by mistake. It highlights the wrong digit and asks you to correct it. It then shows you the next set of numbers that you need to multiply and shows you the expanded form on the left as well. You know it is 40 into 8 and you know how to multiply 40 into 8 by adding that extra 0. In this way, it multiplies all the sets of numbers step by step, guiding the children all along. It then tells you that you need to add all your digits. If, however, you do make a mistake while adding, for example, you forget that there's a 1 carried over here and you put a 6 there instead of a 7, once again it corrects you and tells you your answer 6 is not correct. You're then asked to put in the whole answer, and if you get it right, you're all set to go on to the next one. The next resource on the app deals with word problems, which sometimes the children do find a tad difficult. When they run the app, the first thing that they are shown is a question. This question states that in the last month, Ali visited the bazaar 14 times. Each time he visited, he bought 13 cups. So how many cups has he bought in the last month? The children are first helped to analyze and understand the problem with the help of some questions. The first question that the children are asked is, what information has been given to you? The first part is that Ali visited the bazaar 14 times. They can select just that part from the question and drag and drop it into the slot provided. They select the next piece of information that each time he bought 13 cups. The next question is what has been asked. It has been asked that last month, how many cups did he buy? They need to think and first select the correct operation and then continue. Now it comes to the numerical section of the problem. So now that they know that they have to multiply 14 by 13, they can fill in the question and start to solve it. This proceeds in much the same way as the numerical example did, by multiplying pairs of numbers and adding all of them to arrive at the final answer. And so they fill in the final answer, and through this they have not only solved the question numerically, but the app actually helps them to reason through all the information that has been given, understand which operation needs to be performed, and then perform the actual numerical operation. This is the watch and try section of the math app. It mainly concentrates on non-digital multiplication activities. These are demonstration videos that children can perform at home as an individual or in groups. They help the children to do things like learn their tables, etc. They are simple to do, easy to understand, and children have great fun doing these activities. Let's have a quick look at one such activity that involves saying out the multiplication table of a number in a group, one at a time, but remembering to clap at a multiple of that number.
Out. बोलो 5 आउट 7 सब बोलो तो 7 आउट ताली बजाई यार धड़ाधड़ आउट हो रहे हैं नो 11 13 19 21
is a glimpse, actually a little bit more than a glimpse, into the multiplication section of the Pradigi app. You will see that we begin from the very basic of multiplication, that is tables and how to practice them, going on to showing children that larger numbers too can be multiplied, that is larger numbers with zeros, just with simple table knowledge. We go on to explain concepts in a very step-by-step manner using visuals and things that children are already familiar with or have learned in the past. And then we move on to the more methodical, numerical-based or word problems. Many games are available for playing and practicing the concepts while having fun. And the apps and the games have all been designed keeping in mind where children are expected to go wrong initially. The word problem section also makes sure that it focuses on analysis and comprehension of the problem before going on to actually solving it numerically. Each question in the word problem has also been designed keeping in mind the context and the environment that such children are familiar and can identify with. It then ends using off-tech, fun-based group physical activities in which the children can participate and still continue to practice the concepts of multiplication. As part of Pratham's constant endeavor to reach as many children as possible, we even provide content in ways that rely less on technology than those like the app. We broadcasted fun and interesting math episodes on television and even wrote a large number of SMS-based content that could be sent to children who had no internet access. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. Do reach out to us in case you would like to know more. Thank you very much and have a great day.